SCP-2857. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2857 is to be placed in a standard humanoid containment cell at Site-17. SCP-2857's dietary requirement is limited to Hainan chicken rice. During designated tests, SCP-2857 is allowed to prepare SCP-2857-A instances under the supervision of at least one guard, during which, it is to be moved to an adjacent cell equipped with standard kitchen appliances and tools. When preparing instances of SCP-2857-A, ingredients for SCP-2857-A are to be prepared prior to said tests. A list of necessary ingredients is detailed in Document 2857 Lore. Civilians which have consumed SCP-2857-A are to be instructed in the preparation of Hainan chicken rice for personal consumption. A Level 0 culinary personnel is to serve as instructor. Mobile Task Force Epsilon 65, Shadow Stalkers, is tasked with monitoring civilians affected by SCP-2857-A. In the event wherein said civilians are unable to prepare, purchase or procure Hainan chicken rice on their own, they may be placed in a medically induced coma and fed via intravenous, 4, drip. The dietary requirements of D-Class personnel who have consumed SCP-2857-A are limited to Hainan chicken rice. These D-Class personnel are provisionally held at Site-17. As such, at least one cook at Site-17 is to be proficient in the preparation of Hainan chicken rice. TTT. Description: SCP-2857 is the dominant consciousness inhabiting the body of a Chinese male human named Mr. Ji Fan, Chinese, Pinyin, Ji Fan, who self-identifies as Mr. Ji's biological son. It possesses memories attributed to itself and Mr. Ji. Additionally, SCP-2857 claims that it is born in the year 2029 CE and that it possesses a doctorate in chicken rice preparation from an education institution called the School of Culinary Arts, SOCA. Point 2, an instance of SCP-2857-A, as prepared by SCP-2857. SCP-2857 is the only known source of SCP-2857-A, referring to Hainan chicken rice 3 prepared by it. SCP-2857-A has no physical or chemical differences from Hainan chicken rice sets prepared by selected civilian hawkers and Foundation cooks. Individuals who have consumed SCP-2857-A, hereon referred to as subjects and inclusive of SCP-2857's host, will display preference to consume solely Hainan chicken rice, inclusive of SCP-2857-A instances, and are unwilling to consume other types of food. Subjects frequently describe non-Hainanese chicken rice foods to be bland, and will vomit said foods approximately an hour after consumption. Analysis of vomited food indicates that they are mostly undigested, with the exceptions of rice and chicken meat prepared via white cutting. Point 4, the only known methods of feeding the subjects and SCP-2857 are through SCP-2857-A instances, non-anomalous Hainan chicken rice or 4-drip. Application of amnestics is unable to eliminate the anomalous effects of SCP-2857-A. SCP-2857 was recovered from the in Singapore on //2016, where it established a shop selling SCP-2857-A instances to civilians. When the anomalous properties of SCP-2857-A were identified, SCP-2857 was tracked down and taken into Foundation custody. Additionally, affected civilians were rounded up for questioning and treatment. Treatment of SCP-2857-A's anomalous effects was not possible, thus amnestics were used to suggest a strong preference for Hainan chicken rice among the affected civilians. Addendum 2857-1, Interview Log 2857-01, Interviewee, SCP-2857, Interviewer, Agent Harry Lee. Forward, the following interview is a preliminary interview to discuss SCP-2857's anomalous properties. Begin log, Agent Lee, Mr. G, do you know why you're here? SCP-2857, I did nothing wrong, Okay. I'm just a harmless hawker. Not some opposition fella, Agent Lee, we are not from the government. Anyway, how would you like to be addressed? SCP-2857, Dr. G. Fan, PhD, Agent Lee, in which field? SCP-2857, chicken rice preparation. But I understand, SOCA is not opened in 2016, so you won't know about the program and all. Agent Lee, what is SOCA? SCP-2857, School of Culinary Arts, where the region's finest hawkers learn the trade of preparing the finest of local food. Agent Lee, one of which being chicken rice, I presume. SCP-2857, of course. It's the undisputed national dish of Singapore by, Agent Lee, you're from the future, SCP-2857, if you're into predestination. Under the many worlds interpretation, mine would be one of the possible futures, or our timelines are branches of an even earlier point of divergence. Agent Lee, I'm open to either. So, how did you end up here? SCP-2857, yeah, about that. Fuck those chili crabbers. They sent there, Agent Lee, excuse me, but what are chili crabbers? SCP-2857, you don't know? Pause. Oh yeah, we're in 2016. Let me explain. Chili crabbers is what people from my timeline call the folks who have bachelors and above in making chili crab. People like me are called chicken ricers, FYI, Agent Lee, thank you. Please continue. What did the chili crabbers do? SCP-2857, they sent their Confederates on me and have me dumped into the temporal anomaly at point 5. Agent Lee, wait, there's a temporal anomaly at SCP-2857, yeah, it was all over the news in my timeline, of Agent Lee, so it will be made public knowledge by SCP-2857, maybe. I am only one of the many outcomes in the greater scheme of things, not necessarily the sole outcome. God, you're really into predestination. Are you a social Calvinist by chance? Agent Lee, please allow me to ask the questions here. SCP-2857, my bad, officer. Agent Lee, anyway, did you know why they tried to dump you in the temporal anomaly you have alleged? SCP-2857, I did convince PM Lee to revoke the chili crab stall's license to operate in the parliamentary cafeteria. That could be a reason why. Those chili crabbers definitely did not take it well, Agent Lee, I see. If the temporal anomaly is on, how did you end on Singapore itself? SCP-2857, it's the properties of the anomaly. Having experienced it firsthand, it's definitely typical of the Einstein-Rosen-Lee bridge, especially full transcript redacted for brevity and sensitive information. See document 2857. Law for full transcript, access restricted to temporal anomalies level 4 and above, and that should account for my current situation as a disembodied consciousness latched onto my father here. Agent Lee, that's very elaborate for a PhD holder in chicken rice making. SCP-2857, thank Google. It's an excellent teacher and deliverer of knowledge, but no algorithm can tutor the finesse and techniques of cooking. You know, it's one of the few things that still matter to the people from my timeline. Agent Lee, I see. But how did you feel when you realize your current situation? SCP-2857, lucky. I could have ended up in anywhere. Guess my old man is the closest thing to me in this world, especially since I'm not born yet. But I have troubled my father so much, you know. That's why I applied to be a hawker. At least he can benefit from being merged with me, Agent Lee, but won't that have any adverse effects on the space-time continuum? SCP-2857, again with your social Calvinist cock talk. I'm only creating an alternate pathway in space-time, Agent Lee. Okay, I get it. Let's talk about the chicken rice you've made instead. SCP-2857, definitely. I'm more than happy to share my knowledge. Agent Lee, why do they cause those who have eaten it to only eat chicken rice? SCP-2857, Officer, once you taste truly good food, everything else is dog food by then. My dishes are the pinnacle of fine hawker cooking, and I come from a dog-eat-dog world. Us hawkers have to fight over supremacy in the parliamentary cafeteria, not just to simply make ends meet like our predecessors. But the hawkers today, they have to work up quite a sweat every day. History clearly romanticized our industry. Agent Lee, Dr. G, can you describe the difference between your chicken rice and those made by the people from this time period? SCP-2857, mine is crafted with true hardware gained from 7 years of academic experience, as validated by my doctorate. If you would like, I will be more happy to prepare a sample for you, Agent Lee. We can arrange for that on another day when we have the necessary resources. But is it possible to recover from this addiction? SCP-2857, don't compare my craft to drugs, smoking or serial queuing. That said, it is possible for my rivals from other departments at SOCA to be drugged by their respective signature dishes. That's why we sometimes resort to drastic measures to maintain relevance, Agent Lee. Drastic measures, SCP-2857, remember that temporal anomaly I've mentioned earlier. It's a rather common way to dispose of our rivals. When I was an undergrad, I get extra credits for throwing a few chili crabber professors into it. Agent Lee, you seem rather unfazed at the fact that you threw people to an unknown portal. SCP-2857, back in the day, peer pressure and grades. But now, look, I'm proof that you can live through the Einstein-Rosen-Lee bridge, if that's what that anomaly really is. For all you know, those chili crabbers have already forged their little monopolies across the branches of space-time. Agent Lee, we caught you, so what makes you think that those chili crabbers will be free to do whatever they wish? SCP-2857, we all need coping mechanisms, Officer. End log. Footnotes. 1 to date, Mr. G is unmarried and has no known offspring. 2 SCP-2857 alleges SOCA to be a Singapore-based tertiary education institution, and chicken rice preparation is supposedly one of the programs offered there. No such tertiary institution or doctoral degree are known to exist. 3. A dish consisting of rice, cucumber slices and slices of either white chicken or roasted chicken meat prepared via white cutting. A soup of chicken broth and spring onions is typically served to complement the dish. 4. The traditional way of preparing wenchang chicken, a dish in which Hainanese chicken rice is derived from, which involves immersion of the chicken in almost boiling water and cooked to preserve its softness and tenderness. 5. An islet offshore of Singapore. Scouting parties report no indication of any temporal anomalies. An observational outpost has been established on as a preventive measure.